Everybody watched her dance. Guys and girls alike just couldn't seem to break away from the hypnotic sway. The girl had just walked into the bar, gone straight to the middle of the room and started dancing. Just like that, we were all under her spell. Had I known then what I know now, I would have turned and run as far and fast as I could. I would have tried to anyway. It's hard to describe, but just one look at that girl was enough to ensnare you. She was perfect. Waist-length red hair, milky skin, and eyes that burned into your soul. The first guy plucked up the courage to try his luck. He was without a doubt the best looking man in the room. He knew it too. He walked over to her and opened his mouth to say something. She put a finger on his lips before any words could escape them, smiled, and shook her head. Something about the way she turned him down hit me like a mace to the stomach. It was without a doubt the most brutal thing I'd seen. She didn't insult him, didn't laugh in his face or throw a drink over him. She let him know, without saying a word, that she would never deign to let him so much as speak to her. Other men and women approached her over the course of the evening. Every one of them left dejected. They were lucky. I never thought I'd stand a chance. After seeing the people she'd already turned away, what hope did a chubby, short 19-year-old geek have? Better to preserve what dignity I had and sip my drink alone. When she pointed at me and beckoned for me to join her, I felt as though I was in a dream. I have to admit that despite being sat in the corner of the room, I actually looked behind me to see if she was looking at somebody else. Nope. She wanted me. I froze. There wasn't enough alcohol in the world to give me the courage to dance with her. She laughed and danced her way over to me. A moment later, she took my head in her hands and kissed me full on the lips. That kiss. It was like nothing I'd ever experienced. Better than sex. It sent hellfire coursing through my brain and set every nerve ending ablaze. Every forbidden, perverted thought I'd ever had come rushing to my consciousness. I felt proud to be an animal, a creature whose instincts compelled it to lust and violence. Nothing was beyond me. I could do whatever I wanted, to whoever I wanted. Then it was over. Humanity came flooding back. The reality of social norms, ethics, and morality reasserted themselves, and I remembered who I was. I was a chubby, short, 19-year-old geek who had no business thinking and feeling the way I had. That wasn't who I was. You bet it was who I wanted to be though. Deep down in that place where sense gives way to desire, that was what I wanted. I think she could sense that. I think that's why she picked me. It's a rush, isn't it? She said. Getting a taste of the beast within is always a rush. I stammered something incomprehensible. My head was still reeling from the kiss. She smiled, and I, like a rat, staring into the eyes of a viper. Give me a number. Sure, I managed. Do you want me to text it to you? Do you have your phone with you? I could write it down if you prefer. Do you have a pen? She held up a hand before I could continue rambling. Just tell me your phone number. I have an excellent memory. I did as I was told. I'll see you again soon. With that, she left. I spent the next 3 days in agony. I couldn't get that kiss out of my mind. The way I'd felt left me ashamed and aroused in equal measure. I spent every waking moment replaying the scenario in my head, trying to get another taste of how it had awakened some primal creature within me. Every night, I dreamt of that girl. She had my number, but hadn't given me hers. Looking back on it, it's amazing just how much power you give over a person. Would she call back? Would I ever see her again? Was it all just a cruel prank? When she finally did call, my phone didn't display her number, but I recognized her voice instantly though. Her words were like poison dripping into honey. Meet me at the bank in an hour. Click. I didn't even have time to ask which bank she meant. The powerlessness of my situation began to dawn on me. I couldn't just refuse to go. I might never have another chance for another kiss. She had me well and truly dangling on her hook. In the end, I set off for the closest bank to my house. Sure enough, she appeared exactly 1 hour after she'd hung up the phone. I realize how this sounds now I'm writing it down. I'm sure some of you are thinking, fuck that, I'd run. That's exactly what I should have done. I couldn't do it though. All it took was one kiss to make me an addict. "Hi," I said as she approached. "I've been thinking about you a lot. I wondered if maybe you want to get a coffee or something?" "I don't drink coffee." "Oh, okay. Maybe a bite to eat?" "No thanks. How much do you have in savings?" I blinked. "Not much. A couple of £100? Perfect. You can make an ATM withdrawal." Not as many questions that way. You want my savings?" I said it half a question, half as a statement. I couldn't quite believe what I was hearing. "That depends. You want another kiss?" I shook my head. Enough was enough. This was some kind of scam and I wasn't going to be a victim anymore. All I had to do was turn around and walk away. I didn't need another kiss. As soon as the thought entered my head, my body rebelled, my skin itched and my palms started to sweat. I gritted my teeth against a sudden rush of pain in my stomach. Money wasn't everything. Another kiss was worth it. I withdrew the cash. "Good dog," she said. She leaned in and kissed me. It wasn't as good as the first time. The first time, I'd never experienced anything so intensely pleasurable. Even so, the feeling of power and virility I'd been trying in vain to remember flooded to me once more. All of those dark thoughts and urges resurfaced, and I knew there was nothing bad or wrong about them. Humans are animals. Animals fight and fuck. Animals rape and kill. The sensation receded, leaving me feeling confused, guilty, and turned on. I opened my eyes. She was gone. "You know you can tell me anything, don't you?" my mum said. Since Dad passed away, Mum had been trying to be extra motherly to me and my sister. Full-cooked breakfasts, family board game nights, the works. She looked at me with deep and genuine concern. "I'm fine," I lied. "Just flu or something." It'd been 3 weeks since my last kiss. Nothing else mattered. Not food, not sleep, not even family. My whole body ached with the need for another kiss. My skin crawled as though the insects were burrowing into it. Every time I drifted into unconsciousness, my dreams were full of monsters and suffering. I rolled over in bed. I didn't want to look at my mum. I couldn't face her. "I love you, Jason." I didn't reply. My bedroom door shut, and my mum's footsteps faded away. I heard a faint sob. I screwed my eyes shut and tried not to think about my last kiss. It was impossible. I may as well have tried not to breathe. "It's drugs, isn't it?" my sister said. I hadn't heard her come in. "No, Alex, it's not drugs." "Bullshit." I sighed, rolled over and looked her straight in the eye. "It's not drugs." "Right, okay then. Let's pretend I believe you. If it's not drugs, what is it? It sure as hell isn't the flu." "A girl," I sighed. "A girl? Jason, you're a mess. You don't eat, you don't talk, you just stay in your room and lie on your bed. I get that love can be rough, but come on." "I don't love her." "What?" "I said I don't love her. I fucking hate the bitch, okay?" Alex took a step back. I hadn't realized I'd been shouting. I sighed. It felt good to tell the truth, even if it was only a partial truth. I did hate the girl who kissed me. I hated her for what she'd done to me. I hated her for not calling me for 3 torturous weeks. I hated her because I so badly wanted another kiss. "What's her name? Whatever she did to you, I'll knock her out for it." "I don't know her name." My phone buzzed. I answered it straight away. "Meet me in my house. I'll text you the address." Click. "That was her, wasn't it?" Alex said. "No." "Don't lie to me. Where are you going?" "Out." I pushed my way past her. She grabbed me by the shoulder. I span around, almost ready to hit her until I saw the dampness in her eyes. Please don't go to her. I took her hand off my shoulder. I wanted to hug her, to apologize to her, but I was too ashamed. With my head down and tears running down my face, I left. The girl's house was on the outskirts of town, where the city started to give way to countryside. To call the building a house would be like calling the works of Salvador Dali doodles. The thing was a mansion, secured behind enormous walls topped with viciously barbed iron railings. As soon as I approached, the gate opened for me, allowing me onto a driveway the size of a small street. As I walked towards the front door, I took a moment to look at the garden. I didn't recognize most of the flowers, but I knew foxgloves and nightshades when I saw them. Beautiful, deadly flowers, here and there. The garden was studded with marbled sculptures. Each one depicted a naked person in agony. There were men impaled on spikes or being set on by slavering wolves. Women wept as their bodies were engulfed in sculpted flame. She stepped out of the front door, her face split by a cruel sneer. "I want you to give me a present," she said in a sing-song voice. Her hands were held behind her back. "What do you want?" I asked. I'd intended for it to come out as a hiss. I wanted to show that I still had some power over myself. Instead, the words came as a whimper. "Nails." "Nails?" I repeated. My thoughts turned to the marble sculptures and tortures and a little bit of sharp metal could do. "What do you want nails for?" "I want your nails." "Oh, okay." I was suddenly relieved. "Whatever, do you have any scissors?" She laughed and shook her head. From behind her back, she produced a pair of pliers. "No," I whispered. "Yes." "Not like that. Please, not like that." She pouted and held the pliers out to me. "No nails, no kiss." I swallowed back a sob. I could already feel my heart beating out of a manic drum roll. The thought of what I had to do knocked me sick. The thought of not getting another kiss was like having red hot needles pushed into every pore. I took the pliers. For a long while, I stood there just looking at my hands. My consciousness seemed to be coming from somewhere else, as though I was watching my own body from another plane of existence. I closed the pliers on the nail of my left thumb and started pulling. The pain was unbearable. I watched through tear-blurred eyes as millimeter by millimeter, a red line grew at the base of my nail. My fist clenched around the pliers and I pulled with all my strength, screaming with agony as I did. The nail moved less than a centimeter. I wasn't going to be able to pull it off in one go. "That's it," she crooned. "Just ease it out. Don't worry. It'll grow back." Minutes crawled by like hours. I screamed until I could only choke. With one last pull, the nail came free. My hands shaking and wet with blood and sweat. I put my thumbnail into her cupped hands. Despite the snot dribbling down my face, I leaned in for the kiss. She backed away. "No, no, no. That's no good." "I gave you my fucking nail." I cried. I hated her more than I thought was possible. I said I wanted nails. Plural. You have another thumb and 8 fingers to go yet. I pulled at my hair, wailing with frustration, pain and anger. She stepped forward and tousled my hair. Ah, poor little doggy doesn't want his kiss. I made a grab for her. If she wouldn't give me a kiss, then I'd take one from her. The moment my hands touched her, something like an electric shock passed through my hands and burned its way down to my feet. Searing agony knocked me to the floor. It took me a good 15 seconds before I could breathe again. "Just for that," she hissed, "I'll have your toenails as well." 3 months passed with no call. My last kiss had barely been enough to take the edge off the pain. As you might expect, My mother and sister were horrified when they found out what I'd done to my fingers and toes. They phoned the police straight away. I told the officers what I could. The description I gave could have matched any number of women. My phone had no sign of any strangers calling or texting. The address I told them about revealed nothing but empty fields. None of that came as a surprise to me. I was pretty sure I'd gone way beyond the point where I could be shocked. Whoever the girl who kissed me was, I was certain she wasn't truly human. My drug test came back negative, eliminating my family's theory that I'd started taking heroin or something. With the negative drug tests, the police quickly lost interest. They saw no reason to suspect I was being abused by family and passed me over to the care of a psychiatrist. Telling the truth didn't make me feel any better, especially since nobody believed me. My sister figured I'd been rejected by a girl and had a breakdown. My psychiatrist was certain that my so-called succubus was an entirely creation of my disturbed mind. He theorized the red-haired girl was a projection of deep-seated sadomasochistic fantasies. I was too preoccupied with my own suffering to pay much attention to the people around me. I shambled through life like a zombie. The physical effects of the kiss withdrawal were crippling. My skin itched and burned. It felt like I was being bitten from within by an army of fire ants. Until my nails grew back, I'd resorted to scratching myself with a fork, leaving bloody trails down my arms and chest. My nightmares started to spill over into my waking life. Here and there I'd see something scuttling on the edge of my vision. Shadowy figures loomed over my bed, reaching out with taloned hands to torment me. I saw maggots in my food and centipedes in my drink. Life had become hell on earth. Then, she came back. The knocking woke me up in the middle of the night. Somebody was pounding on the front door with the force of a battering ram. "Mum, the door," I said, still drowsy from the fitful sleep. Bang, bang, bang. "Mum, Alex, can you see who's there, please?" Bang, bang, bang. I swore and stumbled out of bed. But I didn't hear any movement from my family, so I slipped on some clothes and went downstairs. I opened the door just as another set of knocks strong enough to crack the wood started. A huge man in a suit stood in the doorway. He had the look of a bouncer or an archetypal hired goon. "She wants to see you," he said in a voice too gentle for his appearance. I said nothing and looked past him. A black limousine was parked in front of my house, its windows tinted to stop anybody from looking inside. I took a step back. "Mum!" I shouted, panic starting to overwhelm me. "Alex!" "She has them," the man said. He sounded sympathetic. "I'm taking you to see them." "How? Where?" I stammered. My mind struggled to put together a logical explanation for how my family could be kidnapped without me noticing. I gave in. Logic didn't apply to that demon. "Come on, it's time to go." The man put a hand on my shoulder and led me towards the car. Partway there, when I'd managed to recover my senses a little, I asked it a question that plagued me almost as much as my addiction. "Who is she?" She's the worst thing that ever happened to me," the man said. He fought back a sob and squeezed my shoulder in an almost fatherly way. "Just don't make her angry. Whatever you do, don't make her angry." He opened the back door of the limousine and waited for me to get in before heading over to the driver's seat. She was inside, clad in fur and diamonds like some sort of celebrity. She smiled and pushed a glass of wine into my hand. I didn't drink it. "Let's talk business," she said as the limo started to move. "I don't want another kiss. I want my family." Nobody wants another kiss. Not when they think it through rationally, at least. No. This is about craving. You don't want a kiss. You crave it. Deep down, I think you'd do anything for another kiss. "Where's my family?" "They're safe. Not exactly comfortable, but they haven't come to any harm." I relaxed a little, Some instinct told me that wherever she was, she couldn't lie. More precisely, whatever she said just had to be. You're a demon, aren't you? You're a succubus. She smirked. Poor little doggy. I'm more than a demon. I'm the mother of demons. Consort of the accuser. Queen bitch. So you want my soul? I felt my mouth go dry as I said the words. It was like waking up to find that that monster from your nightmare was stood by your bed. Clever boy. In return, I'll kiss you once a week, every week. After 3 long months of withdrawal, that has to be at least a little tempting, right? She was right about that. A kiss every week? I'd already been through hell. My soul couldn't be worth much. What was damnation compared to a kiss every week? Alright. Deal. Good dog, she purred. So what do I do? Shake hands? Sign my name in blood? No, that won't cut it, she said. There was a delight in her voice that made my blood run cold. You can't just give your soul away. You have to do something to lose it. I felt the limousine slow to a stop. The big man stepped out and opened the door for us. She stepped out first and offered me her hand. I took it. We walked across soft, damp grass towards a structure resembling a concrete garden shed. My heart threatened to break through my ribs as we got closer. I knew my family was inside. I knew she wanted me to hurt them. She opened the door. My mother and sister were bound to metal chairs. They'd been gagged and tears streaked their faces. When they saw me, they tried to scream their pleas. My heart broke at the sight of them. Something cold and heavy was pressed into my hand. I looked down at the gun and started to weep. I can't, I said, turning towards the red-haired girl. I can't shoot them. Oh, you poor puppy, she said in mock sympathy. The gun isn't for them. It's for you. For me? Yes. It's for if you want to go back out of the deal. Put the gun to your head, pull the trigger, and you have my word I'll let your family go. I didn't have to think about it. I aimed the gun straight at the bitch. She pulled a melodramatic face of shock. Oh wow, didn't see that one coming. Here's the thing. If you shoot me, I won't die. I can't die. What I can do is make damn sure you, your mother, and your whore sister spend many a long year just wishing you were dead. I turned the gun away from her and put it to my own head. My hands trembled as I heard my mother wail. Very noble. Sacrifice yourself to save your family? Better than just walking away and facing life with no more kisses, right? She put a certain emphasis on the word kisses, and the effect was instantaneous. My mind turned straight to the thought of that first kiss. I couldn't shake the memory of just how good it was. She cocked her head and sneered. She knew she got me. Mind you, a kiss a week. Now that could be heaven on earth. It'd be cruel of your family to stand in the way of your happiness, wouldn't it? I sobbed in frustration and shame as I turned the gun towards my mother. I couldn't look her in the eyes. I tried to ignore her muffled screams as I pulled the trigger. The shot echoed across the countryside. I'd missed. The red-haired girl held my wrist, pointing the gun a foot above my mother's head. I stared at her in confusion. I told you. The gun isn't for them, she hissed. She pried it out of my fingers and dropped it to the floor. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all of you. I turned around and the sound of the big man's voice. I looked down at what he was holding and my heart sank. My family screamed. No, I whispered. Anything but that. If you want your kisses, this is how I want you to surrender your soul. Please. Just let me use the gun." "No." I took a few trembling steps towards the big man, knowing I stood on the precipice of damnation, knowing that if I did what she wanted me to do, I deserved to go to hell. A kiss every week. Every week. I couldn't stop myself from thinking about it. I took the kerosene and the matches. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. Walk to the front desk and address the worker there, asking to see the holder of the destroyed. Should the worker cry out in horror, then you've come at a bad time, or possibly a good time. Death by spontaneous combustion isn't all that bad. If the worker laughs, you've come to the right place at the right time. The floor will crack, then break entirely as if it was made of glass. When you hit the ground below, walk straight ahead until you see a small flame. Keep walking forward until you can see what feeds the flame. Bend down and ask the now very burned thing that was once a man, what happened to ones that were destroyed? The arm of the thing will reach out and grab your neck as the holder begins to tell you the tales of every seeker that was destroyed in his quest and of the objects that were destroyed. When he is finished telling his stories, his arm will burst into flame once more. Ignore it, it won't burn you. If it does burn, then don't worry, or you'll be dead soon, even if you do let go. Quickly, however, as the world begins to burn away, grab the arm and close your eyes. As the world burns, you will feel the part of the arm you grabbed begin to change into another object. You will wake up wherever you call home. The matches in the book you now hold will burn a special flame. Whatever their fire touches will be repaired if it is broken, and destroyed if it's whole. Be warned, however, that if you attempt to use it on another human being, your flesh will burn instead. The matchbook is object 194 of 538. Keep it after all the matches are gone, lest his flame turn on you. Annabelle was the focus of a case that famed paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren took part in during the early 1970s, and is highlighted in the book The Demonologist. It has been stated that this is one of the most unusual cases of a possessed object on record. In 1970, a mother purchased an antique Raggedy Ann doll from a hobby store. The doll was a present for her daughter Donna on her birthday. Donna at the time was a student in college, preparing to graduate with a nursing degree, and resided in a tiny apartment with her roommate Angie, a nurse as well. Pleased with the doll, Donna placed it on her bed as a decoration and didn't give it a second thought until a few days later. Within that time, both Donna and Angie noticed that there appeared to be something very strange and creepy about the doll. The doll apparently moved on its own, relatively unnoticeable movements at first, like a change in position, but with the passage of time, the movement became more noticeable. Donna and Angie would come home to find the doll in a completely different room to which they had left it. Sometimes the doll would be found cross-legged on the couch with its arms folded. Other times it was found upright, standing on its feet, leaning against a chair in the dining room. Several times Donna, placing the doll on the couch before leaving for work, would return home to find the doll back in her room on the bed with the door closed. One night, Donna came home to find the doll had moved again. This time it was on her bed. Donna had come to find that this was typical of the doll, but somehow she knew this time it was different. Something wasn't right. A sense of fear came over her when she inspected the doll and saw what looked like blood drops on the back of its hands and chest. Seemingly from nowhere, a red liquid had appeared on the doll. Scared and desperate, Donna and Angie decided it was time to seek expert advice. Not knowing where to turn, they contacted a medium and a seance was held. Donna was then introduced to the spirit of Annabelle Higgins. The medium related the story of Annabelle to both Donna and Angie. Annabelle was a young girl that resided on the property before the apartments were built. She was a young girl of only 7 years old when her lifeless body was found in the field upon which the apartment complex now stands. The spirit related to the medium that she felt comfort with Donna and Angie and wanted to stay with them by moving into the doll. Feeling compassion for Annabelle and her story, Donna gave her permission to inhibit the doll and stay. They were soon to find out, however, that Annabelle was not what she seemed. Later that week, Donna saw the doll, or Annabelle, was ripped and had jagged cuts along her mouth. One night, Donna awoke to some singing like a little girl. She walked into her bathroom to see Angie dead with the words "Wanna play" written in the blood of her friend. The doll was never found. Lou was friends with Donna and Angie and had been with them since the day the doll arrived. He had never been fond of the doll and on several occasions warned Donna that it was evil, saying that she should get rid of it. However, Donna had developed a personal tie to the doll and decided to keep it, despite Lou's feelings. Her decision was a terrible mistake. One night, Lou awoke with a jolt of terror. A jolt that didn't seem like it was from his usual nightmares. Somehow, something felt different. What would appear to be a common case of sleep paralysis became all too real. He looked around the room, but couldn't discern anything out of the ordinary. At first, anyway. Looking down towards his feet, he saw the doll, Annabelle. It began to slowly glide up his leg, moving over his chest and stopping at his neck. Helpless against it, the doll began to strangle him. After a moment, Lou, at the point of asphyxiation, blacked out. He woke the next morning, certain it wasn't an ordinary night terror, and was determined to rid himself of that doll and the spirit that possessed it. Preparing for a road trip the next day, Lou and Donna were reading over maps alone in her apartment. The apartment was eerily quiet. The silence was broken when rustling sounds coming from Donna's room aroused fear that someone had broken into the apartment. Lou determined to figure out what was causing the noise. Quietly, he made his way to the bedroom door. He waited for the noise to stop before entering and turning on the light. The room was empty, except for Annabelle, whom was tossed in a corner on the floor. Lou searched the room for signs of forced entry, but nothing was out of place. As he got closer to the doll, he got a distinct impression that somebody was behind him. Spinning around, Lou found that despite his unease, nobody beside himself and the doll were in the room. Then, in a flurry of motion, he found himself doubled over in pain, with blood dripping from a cut on his chest. Upon opening his shirt, there on his chest were what appeared to be 7 distinct claw marks. I hope you enjoyed this article, and should you ever want to visit the infamous Annabelle, she can be found at the Warren Occult Museum in Moodus, Connecticut. The museum is run by Lorraine Warren, famous paranormal investigator, and now frequent guest on the television show Paranormal Estate. Housed in a glass case at the museum, you will find Annabelle. Miss Warren relates that Annabelle still moves about occasionally, and is still known to make growling noises at unsuspecting visitors. Someday you will be driving down a long 2-lane highway. There will be no other cars, no signs, no animals, not even any birds flying in the sky. Just you and the road, stretching for infinity through the barren desert. You can drive forever down this road, never wavering. You can turn around and drive back if you like. Nothing will happen. You will continue to drive on forever, never seeing an end. However, you might start to worry that you will run out of gas. If you look down to check your fuel gauge, you'll notice it's a bit lower than the last time you checked, whenever that was. Time doesn't matter. Still, it will not be anywhere near empty, so you will continue to drive. You might also start to feel a bit hungry. If you check your pockets or car for some food, you will not find any. You won't care much, as you are only a little hungry. You will continue to drive on down the endless road. As you drive on and on, you will grow hungrier. Your fuel gauge will be a bit lower every time you look at it. Eventually, when you have grown famished and you are nearly out of gas, you will see an old-fashioned gas station and diner. A large sign saying Goods Diner will stand with an O missing. Gas prices are listed below, but they are not of importance. You will pull up, relieved to have found this place in your time of need, on this desolate stretch of road. You'll fill up your car with gas, and go into the diner to eat. You'll see a bar on your right with several small stools. Some booths are to your left, and some bathrooms are in the back. The floor is covered with worn checkered tiles, and the walls are panelled with wood, a few fans lazily spin in the ceiling above. Your eyes will turn back to the bar, and you will see a man standing there, casually wiping the counter with an old torn rag. He is a large black man, maybe 60, with white hair and rough stubble. You can see the life in the creases in his face, as if he's experienced many things that have worn their way through his mind to the surface of his skin. You can barely see his eyes, but you can tell they have warmth and wisdom deep within. And when he looks up at you, you can sense something different about him. They say eyes are the windows to the soul, but this man's eyes are his soul, his very being contained within them. You will find yourself lost for a moment, but almost immediately you will snap back to reality. Remembering your hunger, you will sit down to eat. Looking around, you will notice there are no menus or signs saying what there is to order. If you ask the man for a menu, he will give you one, with all the typical diner food choices. He will prepare whatever you order and serve you with a little conversation. After you eat, you will pay the man, thank him, and leave. If you happen to look back, you would see the man with an expression of sadness, a sadness so great that it makes your heart stop for a second. Then, you will turn your head and drive on towards your destination. You will reach it and forget all about the diner. But if you choose, do not ask for a menu. Ask instead, "What do you have to offer me?" The man will smile and respond, "What do you wish to have?" At this point you can ask for anything in the world. Anything you wish to know or own or be, you can ask for anything and the man will grant it to you. You can ask how the JFK assassination really happened. Or you can ask to be able to fly. You can ask for a car from the future. Anything. The man will give it to you. After receiving it, you will leave. If you look back this time, the man will seem grief-stricken, almost to a point of tears. You will take off to your destination, but it will be emptiness. You will be left alone with yourself and whatever it is you wished for. However, if you are brave, there is one thing you can ask for, something terrible yet powerful. You must ask for the last slice of pie in the large dish on the counter. When you ask for it, the man will be solemn and give you a quiet smile. "As you wish," he will say. Lifting the lid, he will serve you the slice on a small silver dish, along with a small fork. Take the fork and eat the pie. It will have no particular taste to you. Your tongue will not be able to identify it. Eat it all, and then return your plate to the man. You will reach for your wallet. He will simply shake his head and say, "It's on me." You will thank him and leave, getting in your car to drive away. If you glance back this time, the man will be pensive, looking away into the distance. What does this pie do? Well, once you begin driving, you will begin to contemplate things. Thoughts will travel into your head, and you will know the origins of the universe. You will know who the true identity of the creator of this world is. You will know the secrets of the afterlife, and everything of who you are. And only once you fully comprehend this information, you will leave the road. A police officer was on patrol late one night. It was dark and cold, and he was very tired. He drove around the small New Mexico town in his patrol car for hours like he did every night. It was usually uneventful, seeing as the population of the town was only 667 people. On this night, the officer took his break in the medium-sized, almost pitch-black parking lot of the town's only supermarket. He sipped on his coffee as he checked through the police computer for anything worth looking at. Several minutes later, he was about to leave when suddenly the mutilated corpse of some animal flew out of the darkness and landed on the windshield of the car. The officer jumped back in his seat, startled when the blood from the animal splashed over his windshield like a giant paintball exploding on the glass. He got out of his car to try and find whoever threw the bloody mess. He shined his flashlight into the darkness, but the beam of light seemed like it just couldn't penetrate the blackness. He found nobody. He clicked on his radio to report the incident to the station, but when he waited for a response, all he received was static. He got back in his car, feeling baffled by what just happened. He sat back in the seat of the car and rubbed his eyes. Dumb kids, he thought to himself. Yet as soon as he thought that, he realised it was ridiculous that kids would toss a gory mess onto a windshield of a police car at 3 in the morning. He sat back and rubbed his eyes again, just as a loud, frantic thumping sound suddenly came from the back of the car. It sounded like somebody was standing at the back of the car and slamming something as hard as they could against the trunk hatch. The policeman jumped in his seat and quickly hopped out of the car, snapping on the flashlight and shining it towards the back of the car. What he saw made no sense. A tiny toddler sat with their back facing him at the back of the car. It made no sound. It didn't move a millimeter. The officer crept slowly to the tiny child. The beam and the flashlight shook in his hand. He kept moving slowly to the back of the car, frightened, despite the harmless young child sitting there. What could happen? He finally made it to the toddler, and he wasn't sure how long it took him to move 10 feet to get there. He slowly reached down to the child, his hand shaking. He just barely touched the tiny kid's shoulder when its head turned around with a lightning-fast jerk. The tiny toddler's head had turned a full 180 degrees around, but the officer wasn't looking at that. He was looking at his face. It was pure darkness. Something unable for somebody to fully describe, let alone understand. 2 red shining lights were where the toddler's eyes should have been, but the rest of its face was completely black. The officer was trapped in complete and utter terror. His gaze was fixed on those malevolent, evil eyes. All he saw was the lights shining brighter, brighter and brighter still, until he was completely blinded. In this moment, his radio let out a sharp, high-pitched, ear-piercing sound. The officer fell to his knees, clutching at his throbbing ears. All he saw was deep, dark red light. He fell to the ground, writhing on the floor from the pain surging through his skull. Then he heard the radio on his shoulder. A terrifying sound of crazy laughter. The sound echoed through his head. The laughter beat at his heart. It penetrated every living cell of his body, and it would not stop. Finally gathering what little strength he had, the officer stood up and ripped the radio off his shoulder. His sight began to return to him, but the laughter continued. He realized he now heard the laughter in his own mind, and he couldn't stop it. He ran back to his car and threw himself inside. He turned the key in the ignition, but the car wouldn't start. The man panicked. He reached for his radio to call for help, when he remembered that he threw it away. He pounded on the car's horn as hard as he could, hoping he could draw the attention of someone, anyone that could help. He pounded on the horn as loud as he could, and suddenly the headlights of the car came on. He saw through a spot not covered in dark red blood on the windshield. Something horrifying. A tall, black, thin, humanoid figure stood in the lights. It had the same pitch black face as the toddler, and the same terrifying red eyes. The being stared at the officer, paralyzed by fear in his car by those red eyes, and it laughed. The man heard the laughter everywhere in his brain, and it was the most frightening, painful thing he'd ever experienced. The officer finally broke the gaze, and with his shaking hands, he made the last decision he would ever make. Though he wasn't looking at it, he could feel the dark presence of the creature getting closer to him. He felt the red eyes penetrating his consciousness, staring into his soul. He reached down to his waist, pulled his gun out of his holster, put the barrel in his mouth and pulled the trigger. Hours later that morning, another police cruiser found the car in the parking lot that the cop had been in. The car was inspected, and inside there were no bloodstains or any trace of the policeman. A fully loaded police-issue pistol was on the seat. The missing officer was never found. That day, the small New Mexico town's population went down to 666. A young woman enters the underground subway at 5th and Center Station to catch the 3:15 AM train. Her fear of the late night ride has prevented her from working the graveyard shift in the past, but increasing financial struggles quickly influenced this exception. The silence of the eerie subway hall steadily discomforts her as she anxiously awaits on the subway bench. Constant stories of horrific events involving murderers and thieves easily invade her mind. Suddenly, a smirking gang of 3 appears. They seem to walk towards her but vanish almost instantly. "I'm really letting my fear get the better of me," she states, attempting to calm herself. Vibrations from the oncoming train begin, which aid in a sigh of relief from the startled woman. Stepping into the empty car, she decides to rest in the closest seat. "I've never seen a train so empty," she thinks while withdrawing her book. Eventually the passenger drifts asleep, yet awakens to find herself at the same 5th and Center Station. "What the?" she wonders. "I guess we haven't left yet." The train then takes off. Within minutes, the same 5th and Center Station sign appears. "What's going on?" she nervously ponders. Quickly lifting her watch to verify how long it's been, the passenger is aghast to find that the time still shows 3:10 AM. Fearing that she's losing her mind, the wide-eyed commuter uneasily watches as the train's next stop appears. It is yet another 5th and Center Station sign. Growing more perplexed every instant, the panicked woman promptly begins running through each car to find others. Without warning, an unforeseen beam of light emerges, embodies the whole train car and finally causes the confused woman to halt. "Hello there, young lady. I've been waiting for you," spoke a friendly male voice. "What do you mean?" she asks, looking around dumbfounded. A male apparition materializes and chucks her a newspaper article. The moment the female reads the title, a brutal memory instantaneously floods her mind. Young woman fatally raped and beaten in the 5th and Center subway station. Finally relaxing, her now saddened eyes look up at the elderly gentleman. "It's been 4 months, love," he answers before she could speak. "It took you some time to reach me." "But why am I still here?" she says with a depressed frown. "This train is a spirit trap, love. Those who ride here choose forgetfulness in order to block the gruesome deaths. I'm here to show you the way." "Did you die here?" she asks, returning her eyes to the grim article. The friendly man answered, "I sure did. My heading said, 'Well-known hobo pushed in front of an oncoming train.' I refused to believe what happened to me and ended up here just like you." Her mournful voice questions again. "Can I move on now?" "Not quite, my dear. It's your turn to be the guiding spirit. I've waited 6 years for you to replace me. You'll get your time." As her eyes begin losing their relaxed disposition, again he adds, "Now don't worry, years don't feel as long anymore." "Wait!" the young woman cries as she realizes her companion is fading. "You can't leave yet. I don't even fully understand what's going on. How do I even know when someone's coming?" "Isn't it obvious?" He smiles, pointing at the newspaper in her hands. "You get a new article." Alone once again, the young passenger peers out of the train window to see the same 5th and Center Station sign appear. She's unable to disembark.